take a junkie and you get them off heroin, or an alcoholic, you get them off alcohol. They go through a period of, before they can be clean, they go through a period of just convulsion. It's trauma, and they, you know, and I think that's where we are socially right now. In our, you know, before we are truly free, there's going to be a lot of up and down, a lot of trauma, a lot of convulsion, a lot of back stepping and falling down and getting back up. I think, see the thing about the Alabama Brawl, that's been going on. We've fought against, it's just that what made that one special is the fact that you have technology where things instant. 100 years ago, that would have only found out about that maybe a decade later or whatever. I mean, you know, information travels so slow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's some of us that have always been at the mindset that, you know, we're going to sit around and just let you just walk all over. And then there's the others that are afraid. And that brings up a subject of fear. Fear is something that should not be a part of your humanity at all. You're not supposed to. There's no such thing in terms of a person who is free. Shouldn't have fear. Fear is a destructive force. There's nothing that's anything good will ever come out of fear. And I think, you know, this situation where you're seeing people stand by and watch, they haven't. I'll put it this way to keep from saying a whole bunch of words. Everybody ain't gonna make it. Everybody's not coming to the promised land. There's gonna be casualties. Some will be left by the wayside. I'll just put it that way.
I think.
Oh, but wait a minute. There's one thing I wanted to say when you talk about the Alabama Brawl. The brother that jumped in the water and swam across, he should go down in history.
Oh,
He should be remembered for all time. I really feel that way about that. You know, he should never be forgotten, because that's inspiration like I never felt in a long time. But anyway, I'm sorry.
No. That had to be said. I think, as I think about it, to cover it broadly, I'd say that, yeah, we've always fought back. I think what we saw was an outpouring of frustration from decades of not answering the call.
Mm-hmm.
And finally we said we'd had enough. The problem with African people here, and I'd say globally, isn't a lack of unity. What we have is unity of action. What we don't have is unity of thought. No planning. Everybody's scared to make a plan. No concise definitions. No laying of terms. And instead, you find some who ought to be leading us to the so-called promised land that want to join the oppressor's land. They want to be a part of it. They just can't see black folks in charge of nothing.
See, that's part of the withdrawal I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You're going to go through transitional stages where you're going to have a lot of throwing up and CTs, and you're going to have all kind of turbulence and chaos going on in the midst of any transition of any kind, including our collective consciousness.
Someone asked me, who's been in charge for the last 600 years? I said, white folks. They say, who was in charge before then? Us. Well, they've only had 600 years. And since then, the emergence of the Arab and them, you know, people who figured out that they can float across the water and they won't fall off. You know, as soon as he figured it out, that he wouldn't fall off the horizon, it was, oh man, there's a whole planet out here. And I want that, and I want them, and I'm taking that. They can actually season their foods. Yeah.
And the thing that gave them that power was when Marco Polo went to China.
Yes.
Discovered the technology of gunpowder.
Yes.
The Chinese, and it wasn't even called gunpowder then because they didn't ever think to make a gun with it.
No, they didn't. He went over there. These little Asian nigglets. They're playing with it like children, like toys. Do they realize they could rule the world with this? And of course, the Italian doing what they do, you know. He brought it back and offered to make an offering with the Pope and the nobility at the time. So you're dealing with a very serious invader here. You're dealing with someone that is as cunning and as cruel as they can be. And cruelty is nothing to do. Cruelty to them is the point.
It seems to be that way.
That is the point.
But also, you know, when you look at history, see, the part that kind of woke me up to a lot of things was when I realized, first of all, it's more to it than what we are saying right now. So much deeper than what we're talking about, because we really don't have the time to get into it. We really don't. But we're talking about, look, humanity in its present DNA form right now, and just like you are right now, your genome is it's over 200,000 years, okay? Just like we are right now. We go through these stages and cycles with our sun, which is hurtling through space. Nothing in anything in the universe stands still.
Nope.
Nothing. And humanity over these 200,000 years has been going through cycles, because everything is a cycle of up and down, ebbing and flowing, you know, elevation in our consciousness, de-elevation in our consciousness, elevation in our consciousness, de-elevation. We just came out, we're coming out of that low winter, dark night kind of consciousness that we've been in. And that's part of the result of why you've had so much chaos, turbulence, this hate and degradation and you name it over this last 6,000 years. And it's kind of funny to me that the 6,000 years, they try and tell us that's when civilization began. That's funny to me. I mean, it's just a joke. They want you to believe that because that's when they started to emerge into their consciousness or being, or what, I don't know what you want to call it, just biologically, okay? That's when they started showing up. So they wanted to make everybody think that, well, this is when everything started. But it didn't. That's when things started going down. That was in the beginning of the down cycle of humanity. For that whole 6,000 years was a down, dark period of time. I hate to say it, but I mean, everybody was.
You know, them Neanderthals were.
We were sinking. Well, that was before the that was well over. Well, I don't know how many 100,000 years.
The emergence from the fourth.
Well, yeah, they made it. They made it when the Caucasians was up in the north. That's where the Neanderthals were. And it's proven genetically that that there is the traces of the Neanderthal genome, and it's basically it's only found in people that came from those northern islands up there, you know,
them cave dwellers,
you know. So it was, that's part of it too. But again, the whole point is that the darkness was when all of this was going on. we're elevating, we're transitioning, it's switch. It's going to be a long time. It's going to take generations. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to deal with, just like on that level with the alcoholic or the drug addict, we're going through convulsions. The whole world. We're going through convulsions right now. And before it ever really settles, pretty much everybody in this generation, probably a few more behind us, they're going to have to, it won't be in our lifetime. I'll just put it to you like that.
If they haven't destroyed the planet before then.
Hopefully, that's the catch. Because, you know, we will get out of it if we don't, as long as we don't kill ourselves first. The time and the cycle of things cosmologically will bring us out of it. But will we survive it? Are we going to make it this time?
I don't know.
You see what I'm saying? Because we've gotten to a point where technologically, we've advanced far beyond our maturity. We're not mature enough for some of this technology that we use. Just not. And that's, we might wind up just
Withering away.
eliminate ourselves. That's the thing that concerns me. Have we enough time to make this transition into our next cycle?
Well,
Or is our next cycle going to involve trying to rebuild all over again?
well,
You know.
the Europeans' main objective is to dominate.
Yes,
And
and that's that low vibration mentality that came from that. And
I remember I had a conversation with a European about 20 years ago out in Ypsilanti, and he said he was one of the ones that said, "Oh, what are you, some kind of communist?" And I said, "I can't be that." And he said, "Why?" I said, "I'm an African." I said, "You, on the other hand, I don't know what to make of you." You know, I told him just like that. And I have no desire to love you or to hold hands with you and sit next to you on the toilet. I don't want to ride a swing with you. I don't want to do a damn thing with you. Now, does that mean that I hate you? Does it mean that... no, I just know what you are. I recognize you for that. I respect that. And I don't want no parts of that.
yeah, it reminds me of that African proverb about the man that found the snake that was dying, and he took it in and brought it back to life and nurtured it and everything. The snake got well, and he went to see the snake, and the snake bit him, and he's like, "Hey, why'd you bite me?" He said, the snake said, "Well, when you found me, I was a snake. I'm still a snake. I am what I am."
There's a lot of wisdom in those African proverbs.
Absolutely.
Two elephants
What else?
go to war. The person that gets hurt is the grass.
It's not unusual for black people to work well together. What is unusual is for us to hear the call that is louder, that one of us is in trouble, and so we all need to gather and protect one of our own. We can cooperate because we do it every day in survival. When I live in a black community, I don't see many others than black, so we cooperate all the time. It's not unusual. We stick together. You know, gangs are a reflection of a brokenness in the community, because the primary unit that people are seeking to be a part of is family. And when we can spread that concept to our larger group, I think in Jadena's record, a great man draws a circle around himself. A greater man draws a circle around his people, meaning his family. A greater man draws a circle around his village. the greatest man draws his circle around the world, maybe that attitude rubbed off. That, hey, we need to look out for one another. And it's easy to do that when the aggressor is the other and we have a commonality. It's no different than me saying, you know what, we're all Americans in this room. We don't want any foreigners. It's the rhetoric we hear at the highest levels of policy making. But when it's in action at the small levels, that's when it's most noticeable, because it directly affects folks' outcomes. The talk at the top don't hurt anybody's body, but the talk at the bottom can lead to violence, as that did. And you need to protect your kind. I think that unity can last as long as the people desire for it to. As long as we can conjure up a common enemy. And that would be for any group. You know, the other is always the threat. Something other that allows us to bond together. That's how Europeans are even Europeans today. Europeans don't exist without the other, the Moor. The Moors had a clinch on Europe for a very long time, 1,000-year reign plus, until they said, you know what, they're the other. We have to push them back. And that is how they define themselves as Europeans. Otherwise, they were just a collection of individuals. There was nothing to bind them together. Same principle, the other. And I think it's always possible for the same to stick together when they recognize the need to.